Welcome to MOWTalks. I want to share something with you that's become a major part of my life learning process. Because many times, we're people who feel like we have to put out fires all the time, and we miss the very thing that we think the Lord wants us to do. And I remember being in Africa in the bush and getting a phone call from back home, and my wife shared some things that were pretty critical, pretty crisis situations that were happening right in our life back at home at that moment. And she shared the things with me, and I'm thousands and thousands of miles away, and I'm like, Lord, what do I do? I'm getting ready to go minister, and I have this in my heart, and I'm like, Lord, what? And he said, you need to call your intercessors to pray for you right now. And so I called one of our main intercessors, and I just said, hey, I just need prayer. I'm getting ready to go minister, but I don't know how it's going to come out of me, because right now I just feel totally wrecked. I don't know what to do. And because all my emotions were taking over everything, and I was hurting, I was in anguish, I was just wanting to go pray, wanting to go talk more to my wife about what was going on, because it was so painful at that moment. And this intercessor gave me a word that, honestly, to this day, it is probably one of the most significant words I've ever had in my life. She said, I have a word for you, and it's just one word: focus. And I began realizing that the Lord was telling me that there's something about focusing that has to come into my life that prevents me from engaging every crisis fire, every fire I need to put out, every little thing that's there. And I need to focus. What is it that God has actually called me to do? Why am I here? Why am I thousands of miles away and this arises? Is there something happening? And of course there is. Of course, there's all kinds of spiritual activity and warfare and everything else coming to try and prevent me from pressing through, but it's something I have to learn to press through. I remember a conference that Bob Jones would leave, and he left because the spiritual warfare was so great. 40 miles out of town, he said, it's finally lifted. He called me, he said, it's finally lifted, but you're going through crazy witchcraft that's coming against you right there. And I remember him telling me, he said, just keep going, don't stop. And there's something about attacks that come against us that cause us to lose our footing, cause us to lose our direction. And the Lord wants us to focus. And this morning I want to just share just a few things that I've learned with that, and am still learning. I'm still growing in this. I'm reminded of Ezekiel, who the Lord speaks to Ezekiel, and he says, I'm going to make your forehead harder than their forehead. That I'm going to literally cause you to be able to prevail against things that they think they can overcome, but you're going to go ahead. In Proverbs, we read where it says that, as most of us have read this, the passage that says, without vision, people perish. But actually, a better terminology of that is where you don't have focus, where you don't have something that's lining you up to a future, where you are stepping into things that are just muddy. And it says that you will cast off restraints. You will throw away the very things that keep you moving forward. It is when things come against us that we get dismantled, and we cannot become dismantled, because when we are dismantled, what happens is we end up actually in sin. We end up in error. We end up in depression. We end up in fear. We end up in panic. We end up in things where sometimes there's an easy net over here, and maybe that easy net is not the Lord. Maybe it's the devil. And so there's something about remaining focused. Jesus himself in Hebrews says that who for the joy set before him endured the cross. He remained focused. He wanted to be focused on that which was the final resolution of what God had for him. It was said of Jesus that there came a time, because he knew that he was headed to the cross. He knew he was headed in the direction to the finality of what it was that he was to accomplish on the earth. And it says, at that time, he set his face resolutely, or set his face like flint towards Jerusalem. It was like nothing would stop him. He had to move ahead. He had to keep pressing through. And there's some of you out there who completely have a vision from the Lord, and it keeps getting destroyed or undermined, and whether it be financially, spiritually, emotionally, relationally, there are things that keep coming at you, and you just go, I just can't, I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to focus, I don't know how to go in this direction, so you back away from it. And the Lord wants you to know that it is time now. Turn back to what God has called you to do. Focus. Set your face like flint and say, God's called me to do this. I cannot stop. It doesn't matter what all the conditions are. I must remain focused. What am I here for? Fulfill what God has you here for. Fulfill what God has you here for. Don't miss the moment. Everything will come trying to distract you from those things. Do not be distracted. Be resolute. Be like Jesus. Just be like Jesus. Set your face towards Jerusalem. Set your face towards the promise. Set your face to the joy set before you. Not the one that is right in your face trying to distract you right now, but the joy that he has promised to unfold in your life. Be focused. Jesus loves you. You have an awesome day.